We read a lot of press releases for a lot of cars. Because we drive a lot of cars. We want to know what the manufacturer thinks of them and says about them and that kind of stuff. And I'm not sure I have ever read a press release with more of two things. One, how many things were new, all new, very new, super new, and how many things had a specific handcrafted Japanese name for them.
Okay.
And in the Mazda CX90, we have tapped the scales on both.
Yes.
It's all very new, and it has very many custom, personalized, hand-done Japanese things in it. Yes.
But there isn't a press release from any manufacturer that doesn't give a glowing review of their own car.
No.
They'd say, well, this is our thing. This is our
Mazda's
best ever.
not unique in that regard. Every car is the best car ever based on the press materials, and I'm not actually slighting that. There were many, many new things, and not new bad, new good, all new, full-size platform from Mazda with a rear-wheel drive biased, longitudinally mounted, straight 6 engine.
Yes.
Nobody's doing that anymore.
True.
Not new, not all new.
All new.
That's all new.
And the 0 behind the 9.
That's all new. Yes.
All new.
Yes, we made fun of Mazda when they randomly dropped the CX-30. We were like, what's this doing here? Now they've slowly changed all of their nomenclature.
I'm going to build the CX-31.
The 30, the 50, the 90, you know it. The CX-90 replaces the CX-9 as the 7-seater in the Mazda lineup, their new kind of halo car with this brand new straight 6. Have I said new enough? Also has an all-new 8-speed automatic that does not have a torque converter. It has a wet clutch.
Yeah. Well, that's new.
That's new. It's very new.
Great cars, great roads, and all the reasons we love to drive. Road trips, comparisons, test drives, and podcasts. This is Everyday Driver.
CX90 PHEV. It's new for the American market, for the North American market.
Yes, it is.
Well, this is bigger in every conceivable way than the CX-9. It's bigger, better, it should be. And I have mixed feelings about this.
Okay.
Mainly when it comes to its competitors, but you're right. We're in the PHEV, which means we don't get the inline 6. We only get the inline 4, that 2.5 liter, which makes 323 horsepower and 369 pound-feet of torque combined
with the electric.
With the electric motor. And it doesn't sound that great. It's okay on power, and you'd think that sounds like, decent, and it is. It's just not a standout. It doesn't feel like a standout.
I agree.
And the big problem is this weight of the battery and the configuration of the drivetrain that's all new prevents you from having a 5,000-pound towing capacity, which is what people are looking for in this range of SUVs. In this class, this category, having 5,000 pounds matters. Well, you do get that with the properly equipped inline 6, the Turbo or the Turbo S.
Yes, which I want to stop you right there and say, when's the last time this happened? This is one all-new vehicle with 11 trims and 3 engine configurations.
Yes, and the Turbo S,
Turbo S.
Sounds kind of, who does that sound like, right?
They have a turbo.
They're taking a page
They have this PHEV.
out of the Porsche manual.
And they have a Turbo S,
Yes.
which is the same engine but like cranked up.
Yeah, that's what Porsche,
That's what Turbo.
That's what they're doing.
That's what Turbo S means, right? According to Porsche, right?
But here we are in this just over 5,200-pound SUV that moves adequately. It's fine, and there are things that I like about it, like some of the styling elements, and I do think it looks better than one of its main competitors, which is the Toyota Grand Highlander. But the biggest thing about this is MPG. That's why you were looking at this. You've got your brood, you've got maybe some towing, and you want MPG. Now, the fact that this is a plug-in hybrid means you can get, Mazda tells us, 26 miles of range. But when I come to the combined totals for everything, the Turbo S engine gets 25 miles combined. The Turbo version gets 25 miles combined. Guess what this gets? That's right. When it's gas only, when you will probably be running it, the gas motor is recharging the battery because you probably forgot to plug it in, it gets 25 miles to the gallon combined.
I'm very glad you noticed that as well. Some people have tested these and actually gotten better than Mazda, but Mazda's claiming that combined figure of 25 for all three.
For all three.
You would think there would be variation, but you would also especially think that this would look a lot better in that comparison. Now they're talking about it being 56E, which is the weird calculation
that's
that
the
happens
combined
because
when
you're
you're
using
using
the electric,
yeah.
and then you go to gas, and you get through a tank of gas, maybe it's 56, whatever. The great thing about plug-in hybrids is if you can use them entirely as all electric, then you can get yourself a lot of savings, and this does that okay, and I want to come back to that.
Okay.
But it is amazing that we have 3 drivetrains. This is the least interesting, and it doesn't help you on miles per gallon.
Let me tell you a little bit about the Toyota Grand Highlander.
Oh, okay.
In every hybrid flavor, all the versions, every hybrid version of the Toyota Grand Highlander, it gets 30 plus. They're all in the 30s for city, highway, or combined. Now, the Grand Highlander is not a plug-in hybrid. You cannot use it only as an EV.
Yes.
But for the most part, I'm trying to determine if you're buying this, are you plugging this in? Because Mazda claims it only takes a couple hours to recharge it, and that's fine because it's, not the biggest battery in the world. But I think true commuters are plugging in their PHEV vehicles.
Yes, I would.
I don't know that you're really paying as much attention to your SUV because, well, the gas engine will recharge it, and I forgot to last night, or we had to park outside, or something like that, and you just neglected somehow to plug in your SUV. It'll happen for the first 4 months after you buy this.
Maybe.
And then the guild will be off the lily, and then you will forget to charge your vehicle. And you'll just rely on the ability, the setting down here, where you can use the gas engine to recharge 100% of the capacity, which actually is nice.
Like all PHEVs, it will recharge itself. You can also save the electricity for later. And as somebody that now owns a PHEV, I will say that we do plug it in a lot. So maybe you'll be in the pattern, maybe you'll use it all the time. I do think...
Are we in the pattern?
I do think that if you are a person who that 26 miles gets most of what you're getting done, this starts to be interesting because things like the Grand Highlander aren't offered in PHEV to do all electric. However, I do think that when you have the big family hauler, what you're counting on is lots of mileage.
Yeah.
And at that point, the hybrid starts to shine, and this... I sit here and go, if I'm not going to get any better miles per gallon, why don't I get the more interesting engine?
You have to have a very light foot to prevent the gas engine from kicking on to recharge your engine, your battery.
Yes.
You got to really just be careful because
got to be very easy
even in EV mode, you got don't wake the engine up.
Yeah, you're right.
Don't you dare.
You have to be very easy about it. You're right. Otherwise, it will. I mean, granted, we're at altitude. We do a lot of hills. Depending upon where you are, maybe it's not going to be an issue for you. But
it's like
I agree.
A game.
It is actually fairly easy to use too much of the accelerator pedal, and the gas engine's running now anyway. It doesn't matter what your setting is, for sure.
Well, because then you're like, oh, all that EV torque, this is great. And guess what you do? You push even harder. What else you got in it?
Yeah.
So I appreciate what Mazda is doing, and I like how it drives because it does drive better than most SUVs, but it's still a big, heavy 6, 7, or 8 passenger SUV, which means it's never going to really be great at handling, despite Mazda telling us that it will break the inside rear wheel around corners.
Which is something that they've done torque braking for a while.
Stability, and you'll feel it in the composure.
Double wishbones up front.
Double wishbones, true.
Mazda knows how to do dynamics. Their stuff almost always is the most interesting to drive of whatever market they're competing in.
True.
Okay? Yeah, so this is way up there as far as these 7-seat unibody SUVs. This is up there as far as being decent to drive, and I want to talk about it more when I'm over there. But I want this to be more exciting and interesting and obviously good than it is.
It would be more exciting and interesting if it weren't painted white. I mean, come on.
Yeah, well, this is an extra super duper white with a little bit of flake in it that they charge you extra for.
Yes, white is cheap paint. Just the shifter's weird. So
the shifter takes getting used to. I agree, it does.
So the park setting is over to the left at the top, and then you have to be very deliberate and shift to the right, and then you've got R&D. Maybe that prevents people from just practicing bad habits.
Accidentally toggling. It also reminds me, remember the old school Mercedes shifters? Reminds me of that. We had to come out of park and go through it.
It's
that kind of thing. It's got a notch for park, and then you get over and you go forward and back. I think that actually ergonomically and safety-wise is probably a smart choice, but we're in a world where if the shifter looks like that, it's a toggle.
It's a toggle. You're right.
And you and I drive everything, and so we just assume it's going to be a toggle. If you buy this, you'll learn it week 1. You won't ever think about it again. We drive so much stuff that looks like that and it just works like a toggle, forward, back, whatever, that this has an obvious extra motion to it, which is a little bit off-putting.
Let's talk about the exterior styling. Very few things look good. Very few vehicles look good in white paint. I don't like it here because it doesn't accentuate what Mazda has done. Despite the tumble home being very upright, the greenhouse, how vertical these windows stand, it feels kind of like a minivan in here. Well, you get this big airy feeling, and that's because the windows are practically vertical, but they did put nice fender flares on this, which actually is accentuated because the body side is actually kind of concave. The problem is it's a huge, tall body side, and even though this has off-road mode with the plastic cladding around the wheel wells.
Everything's better with cladding. You knew that. Put cladding on it. It'll look better. We'll go to lunch.
Do that.
Yeah.
In a different color, it looks actually quite remarkable. The front is actually a really nice iteration and next generation of Mazda's theme with that bright work enclosing the grille and the headlights. It's actually really pretty. The taillights actually work to break up this huge, large rear surface. It's a lot going on back there, but I do like the profile. I like the proportions of this, and it looks like long hood. I mean, it looks like inline six. That's what long
looks
engines
really cool.
always dictated the proportions of the vehicle.
And they always
look
look really cool that way. I
mean,
agree.
It kind of looks BMW-esque.
I mean, it has that kind of shape about it. It's a gorgeous shape. I actually feel like the way the rake of the rear is, on some angles, looks a little weird. Looks a little like bulbous and not quite right. But
not all the shots are money shots.
No, true. But most of the time, this is a spectacular looking thing, and I do think colors help it immensely. Granted, we're not fans of white. They're offering a new red color in this. They're also offering a two-tone tan and black interior, which I wish we had a red one with that combo, because the tan and black interior is gorgeous. On the interior, this is a very, very nice place to be, and it feels really high-end. Pretty much any version of this you get tops out around 60 grand. Now, on one level, 60 grand is a lot. Another level, everybody in this segment is competing at 60 grand or above. And Mazda is trying to inch their way away from the Kias and the Toyotas and toward the BMWs. That's where they're positioning themselves.
You can tell.
And so in that regard, this is the affordable option. The seats are pretty good. The materials are nice. I like the look of it. It's not as roomy as you'd hope.
Second row has good space for my knees, long legs. That's
Third
good,
row is kids.
Third row is chop your legs
it's
off.
Kids. I struggled to get back there to turn the camera on, so it's difficult. Now you can get two benches if you want to be an 8-person configuration. This one is actually kind of the captain's chairs idea, but no, it doesn't help the back seat at all. Of course, the second row slides forward and aft. It's all the way back, and it's enough space, but not a resounding amount of space. There's plugs everywhere. There's cubbies. It's a very nice place to be. It is.
I agree. The Toyota Grand Highlander can actually fit an adult in the third row, which is why I keep bringing it up, and that's what this is losing to, in my opinion.
Interesting. Okay.
It has its place, but if you like the styling, you like the interior, I think it is a little bit more luxurious and high-end feeling, even though I would take the Toyota over this, just because at this level, usability is what it's all about. It almost doesn't matter about style. It does, but you have to have towing capacity, you have to have good mileage, and you have to have usability. And especially if you're buying a third row, it almost doesn't matter if you buy a third row and only kids. That's every manufacturer. The ones that set it apart are the Grand Highlander.
The ones that can pull off something more than kids. That's fair.
And that's still not a body on frame. You can still go bigger. I do like the steering wheel. I like the steering wheel spoke here. The center spoke kind of mimics the shape of the grille surround.
Yep.
There's some nice tie-ins. This puffy padding part of the dash reminds me of the CX90. I am not a huge fan of it. We don't need it to be puffy and bloated. It just looks swollen to my eye. And it makes the radiuses just
it's an overstuffed couch feel, Paul. It's just an overstuffed couch. And then you can do this, which only automotive journalists do, and you can go, oh, soft touch.
Soft touch.
Which we're obsessed with. And so now look, it's soft touch.
But the HVAC controls make sense instantly. They're very easy to use.
They're great.
They're actually a pleasure to use. And then USB-C ports everywhere. So we've got them, let's see, center console here. We've got them.
They're back there for both rows. Have got their
both
own
rows,
plugs,
and then all the way in the back, and then AC plugs on both sides, which is actually pretty interesting. And then your plug for the vehicle fits under that floor in the back, and pretty good space back there. I really like it.
I think if you're not shopping for a full usable 3 rows, and you can put little ones in the back, this has got plenty of space for all of that. When you put that third row up, it's competitive amount of space back there. It's not a lot with the third row up. It's competitive, which unless you're going to go body on frame, Suburbans, Expeditions, etc., you can't get 3 usable rows and space behind. This is the level below that, still the unibody, and this is right about the right right size. The CX9 was small in this market segment. This one has actually grown enough to feel competitive.
Everything's getting bigger. Are you ready to drive this
I'm
bad
ready
boy?
to drive. I have much to say.
I'm already in sport mode, so...
Okay. I may back it off a bit because, ooh, sport mode.
I mean, I don't have enough juice to put you in EV
We'll
only
make it
mode.
I'll figure it out. We could reset our camera white balance with the exterior of this car. It's glaring.
Yes.
That's going on. I'm gonna go ahead and give away the headline right now. My big takeaway when driving this in all modes, I did charge it almost to full capacity one night, and I used it in all electric mode. I've used it in sport mode. I've used it in all the modes. I think I had it charging for about 4 hours on a normal household wall plug, and I think it got to 20 miles out of a possible 26. So it's not that bad. Okay?
Okay.
So if you plug it in like your phone at night, you'd have all your charge in the morning. If you're not using much more than 26 in your day, you may get all electric done with this, which is fine. Back to your point, though, be very careful with that accelerator pedal to not wake up the gasoline motor, and then at that point you're getting normal miles per gallon.
All is lost. There is no point in living anymore if you wake up the engine.
I am in normal mode, which means it is using the EV as it can to assist me, but it also isn't draining it all the way, and the engine will recharge the battery as necessary. Of course, you can go into the actual charge mode. All of these things are possible. I drive this, and I just feel like this is the right vehicle for Mazda with the wrong drivetrain. I think I would like this significantly more in Turbo S form with the straight 6.
Yes.
There's not enough upside for me in this PHEV to go, yep, this is the one you should get. I think the body control here is actually very good. It, to your point, feels very big, and there's no question that it's heavy. That's definitely the case. But that's this market segment.
It feels pretty composed sitting over here. This is the first time I've ridden
But that's the key thing. The composure is superb. The body control is excellent. The steering is not communicative, but it's sharp.
It's sharper than most.
And so I appreciate the fact that Mazda is continuing to do the really good dynamics that they know how to do, and that is evident here. I want this to have a personality because of the way that it looks, and the fact that it has a taut dynamic setup that doesn't feel sloppy. It's a big SUV, but it doesn't feel sloppy at all.
Okay.
And then I'm dealing with this drivetrain that I'm either not impressed or just kind of snoozed by.
Yeah.
And I think, wait a minute. So many other people that have raved about this, if I look at their reviews, they drove the straight 6, especially in Turbo S form. And I just think that engine's bound to have some personality because nobody's making that engine anymore. A straight 6 turbo?
Yeah.
Nobody's making that anymore. BMW built their reputation on the back of that idea.
Mercedes and BMW still kind of are in various configurations.
They are, yes.
You know, they're putting them in there.
This is why the Supra exists, because SUVs. Toyota went to chase it, and this is, the B58, S58. Yeah. This is that by BMW, and this is Mazda stepping into that world. By the way, that's not a good noise.
Yeah, that's ugly.
So I want to have that engine. I bet you I would like this 25 to 50% more with that engine in it, and I don't feel like I'm getting a benefit from the plug-in hybrid. The plug-in hybrid was set up and tuned for North America. So Mazda clearly felt like they needed a plug-in hybrid in this market, in the US, and I totally get that, and that's fine. But I own one now. And this,
good point.
This, when driven like a plug-in hybrid, and what I mean by that is you're just going about your life. You're not trying to drive it hard.
Right.
You're just trying to be, you're not even trying to be efficient. You're just getting places.
Just driving, yeah.
This struggles with its transitions. Am I electric? Am I gas? What gear am I in? It's sometimes you can catch it out. More than I expected, because I think of Mazda as a company whose stuff is pretty refined most of the time. And so that also brings me back to that straight 6. I had a few times in driving this and not doing anything dynamic with it, where it just got a little bit drivetrain confused. And since I wasn't getting enough of the benefit from the drivetrain as a PHEV to begin with, I just thought, you know what? Chuck it. I want the straight 6. I'll be happier.
But if you get the straight 6, you will still be getting the combined MPG rating that this gets.
After you get through
so
EV, yeah.
There is still no argument to say, well, get the PHEV because you're getting better combined. Nope, you're not, because that straight 6 has the 48-volt starter generator technology.
That is true. It's not like it's just the internal combustion engine. It actually has the 48-volt. That's a good point.
And think about this. If this weren't designed to house the inline 6 under the hood,
Yeah.
it wouldn't look like this.
True. Good point.
So when I opened the hood, I found the cover, the engine cover, to be quite deceptive. It's so far back,
Sure.
and there's just empty space.
Yeah.
Well, okay, they're offering different powertrains, but this was clearly designed around the straight 6. I think you're right. I think I would actually really kind of dig this. 340 horsepower in the Turbo S.
A little bit
That's
more
a
horsepower
lot.
at the same amount of torque. A lot of times when you get a PHEV, that torque and power number is something that lesser versions won't give you. When this is matching the torque in Turbo S and giving you more horsepower, again, and the price isn't a big jump. You might have a few $1,000s in this model to model. You might just break 60 grand with the Turbo S. I keep coming back to my headline, which is right vehicle, wrong drivetrain. I really wonder how much I'd like this.
That's also
with the
new
other
from
engine.
Mazda.
That is new for Mazda. That is funny, yeah.
I keep coming back to MPG and combined output because the PH, the plug-in hybrid part, doesn't matter. Get just the regular hybrid and buy a Toyota Grand Highlander, which has more space and is even more efficient in any hybrid configuration.
Interesting. All right, I see where you're going.
And
If you're chasing,
they've got more power
if you're chasing 7-seater and you're chasing efficiency, you're right. You do
and
better
more
there.
space.
Yeah, okay. That's a sad reality.
I don't
Take
see
your
the point of this at that point. So you have to train yourself to use EV-only mode, and that's the only benefit you will get from buying this.
And you have to be easy on the throttle in that EV mode, more so than a lot of PHEVs I've driven. You have to be really we're going to get there.
Yes.
Calm down.
Yes.
Because if you ask for much, it'll instantly kick the engine on. Here's the big mystery in the room for me, though. In their all-new discussion, Mazda talked about the fact this is their all-new and first thing on their full-size platform they're offering in the U.S.
Yeah.
We have a turbo hybrid-assisted straight 6 and an all-new full-size platform. Mazda, what are you doing? What else is coming?
Oh, yeah.
Because this is interesting, but this is the bones of something they're going to amortize out as other vehicles, and I want to know what those are.
Yeah.
I want to know, are we talking about a 5 or 7 series competitor on this, like a nice fun sedan? Are we talking about a GT car with that straight 6?
I like that. I like that a lot.
This platform and drivetrain and the whole discussion of all new suggests other things are coming to make this make financial sense. Even though it's going to make money on this platform, they're going to have to amortize it out. And I hope we can get this again with the Turbo S straight 6.
I agree. This feels like a token offering for people who are looking for it, but it's not good enough to justify your dollars because Grand Highlanders, guess what? They're also 60 grand fully loaded.
Yeah, fair point.